The sun is shining bright. Our diets consist of mostly ice cream, and the idea of a dark and chilly Halloween season seems oh so far away. That is, unless you're a horror-loving gamer, because come the end of August, we might as well be celebrating Halloween, as we get treated to both Supermassive Games' Man of Medan and Xbox One exclusive Blair Witch, both being released on August 30th. So if you'd rather shut those curtains and settle in with a scary game than go outside and sun yourself, then I'm here with the top 7 horror games you can play right now. And because I'm talking horror today, it only felt natural to invite Respawning's resident horror expert Luke along for the ride, so expect many entries in this list from the man himself.
Is everybody on board and ready to go?
Number 7. BioShock, The Collection. This was a weird one given it's 3 games in one, but this is a list that's meant to be games you can buy right now on current gen, and this is the most common way of coming across the BioShock games these days. BioShock may not be the first thing that comes to mind when talking horror, due to it being so revolutionary in so many other ways, but I still have fond memories of exploring Rapture with my tail tucked between my legs, and dear God that dentist office still haunts my dreams to this day. There's an argument to be made that the horror elements were toned right down come BioShock Infinite, but that doesn't take away from this collection being an absolute classic when talking about horror video games. Number 6. Until Dawn. Supermassive Games' first horror outing will always be a personal favourite of mine. Yes, it was cheesy, corny, and even a bit cringeworthy at times, but that didn't stop it from scaring the absolute daylight out of me. It covers every horror trope that you can think of, and if this was a movie, I'd probably hate it. But when you're actually in there, living it, these tropes can be genuinely horrifying, and if you tell me that you played Until Dawn and never felt scared, then I'm just going to go right ahead and choose not to believe you. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and enjoy this cheesy horror thrill ride. Number 5. Alien Isolation. I have a really weird relationship with Alien Isolation, because whilst I love the game, I have never actually been able to finish it. I have started the game about 6 times at this point, and I keep getting to around the same point where the fear and tension becomes a little too much for me, and I put the game back down again and don't pick it up until I'm ready. And then I just start all over again. Alien Isolation sits in a weird area for me, where I genuinely believe the game to be too scary. I think this is largely in part to the inability to fight back against a constantly looming threat that puts the fear of God in me at all times, forcing me to stop halfway through playing it. If you're a fan of the first Alien film, I don't like aliens, don't at me, I like the looming threat of one, not the ability to kill 50, then you will find a lot to love in Isolation, and it will be a great addition to your games library, especially if you love sitting in moist patches after you've shat yourself 3 times in a row. Number 4. Evil Within 2. Survival horror for me is my favourite genre of video game. Growing up playing classics like Silent Hill 2 and the Resident Evil series, I am always chomping at the bit for more survival horror games to dive into. This is why I was so excited to see the godfather of survival horror, Shinji Mikami, come back to the genre after so long away to create Evil Within. And you know what? I love the first game in the series and will be a staunch defender of the game until the end of days. However, I can see where people would take issue and even dislike the game, which is why Evil Within 2 is on this list. It seemed that Mikami had listened to fan feedback from the original game and came back with a sequel that is even better in every aspect. The Evil Within 2 leans into its horror roots to great effect. However, it also takes a moment to be genuinely funny and camp in all the right ways that made Shinji Mikami's previous titles so special. I mean, just look at this.
Sebastian, what are you doing here?
I'm in the middle of some serious shit right now, O'Neill. I could use some help out there.
No way.
Are you kidding? Do you know how long it took me to come back here to talk to you about this?
You could have just called, you know.
Are you coming with me or not?
I told you I wasn't going to leave this place. It's fucking evil out there.
That may be, but there's evil within, too.
Whatever. I'll take my chances in here. See you around, Sebastian.
This is true survival horror, and it's a great experience. Number 3. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, admittedly, this could, and maybe should, have taken the number 1 spot, but there's a giant asterisk next to the name Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and that's the letters V and R. Being a VR game is what makes this a truly unforgettable experience, and probably the single most terrifying experience a person can have without inviting Freddy or Jason over for a personal Halloween party. What stops it from taking the top spot for me is the thing that makes it so special in the first place, the VR element. It stops a lot of players from being able to experience this the way it was intended, as a lot of people don't have VR, and the normal version of the game is unsurprisingly left lacking. So, for those with a VR headset, this is your number one. For the rest of us, we move on. Number 2. The Last of Us. Oh look, Mikey's doing a list and he's found a way to force The Last of Us in there. Well, what else did you expect? Now, a little like BioShock, there's reasons outside of the horror elements that makes this one of, or in my opinion, the best game of all time. But that doesn't mean we should ignore the genuinely spine-tingling moments The Last of Us has brought us. Having the clickers be blind and only react to sound was a smart move from Naughty Dog, meaning there were situations where you would have to sneak without making a sound, often coming face to face with the terrifying creatures that were once human. It was these dark, clicker-filled levels that still stand as one of my all-time favourite horror experiences. Accompany that with the fact that this is one of the greatest stories and best character development I've ever seen in a video game, and The Last of Us stands as an undeniable horror classic. Before we reveal the number one spot, I just want to give a quick shout out to Petey. This little gem probably would have took the number one spot if it was still available to download now. But, unless you're one of the lucky ones who downloaded it at the time and kept it on their consoles, this game is gone forever. Still holds a special scary place in my heart though. Number 1. Resident Evil 2. What can I honestly say about Resident Evil 2 that hasn't been said before? The remake has taken my all-time favourite horror game and somehow made it even better. The updated visuals, the new canonical storyline for both characters, and the absolute fear that it induced in me. I honestly went into this game thinking that I wouldn't find myself afraid, because I knew literally everything about the original. Yet somehow, it had me on edge for all 4 of my playthroughs. It had brought a fear back into me, which I thought gone with most modern horror titles, and made me so tense that Mr. X was going to beat me into oblivion that I spent so much of the game making actual noises of fear. Resident Evil 2's remake is, for all intents and purposes, a perfect game, and not only my favourite horror game of this generation, one of my favourite games of all time.
It's Umbrella's fault, this whole mess. But we never meant for this to happen.
So there you have it, our top 7 horror games that you can play right now. Do you agree with our list? Do you have something better in mind? Let us know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our other videos on our YouTube channel. And for all the latest news and reviews, make sure to check out respawning.co.uk. Also, check out our podcasts. They can be found on Stitcher, iTunes and Spotify. And if you're feeling generous, make sure to check out our Patreon site at patreon.com/respawning. This video was brought to you by Luke and me, Mikey. Until next time, I'll see you later.